up? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So, for all those crazy people out there who ain't checked in, who ain't tuned in, who don't know who you are, in a couple of seconds, give us your name and tell us what you do in a couple of seconds.
Well, my name is Donn Dutch, and I do a number of things, but the most important thing that I do right now is I am the founder of youth outreach program Heartfelt, and I'm also an author, 3 times published so far, and I'm about to publish my 4th book. So, that is a seconds for you.
I like that. I like that. So, Donn Dutch, let's go back to where it all started for you, when you were a kid with your moms, growing up, when you was with your family, your sister, your brother, cousins, all of that. What made you fall in love with writing in general and being creative in writing? What made you fall in love with writing?
Books. I love books. So I've always been a popular loner, and I know that's like a very cliche thing to say these days, but technically that is what I was. I would be in the hallway literally with my head in the urban novel, everybody saying, what's up, what's up, what's up? And I'm like, hey, what's up? But I'm still focused on this book. It was to the point where friends, non-friends, associates, people would be like, I want to read this book. I want to read that book. And I would literally have them write down when they got my books from me and bring my books back. And I used to be so mad because most of them never returned my books. So it all started in 7th grade with a teacher who now I consider my godmother. Her name was Miss Mann. She is still in the school system with PGCPS. And she gave me my first book. It was The Coldest Winter Ever. And I fell in love with reading. 7th grade to this day, I still love reading. I still love writing. It's so funny because people ask me, how do you do it? Like, how do you stay tapped in to write a whole book? And I'm like, I've read so many books. Writing it, I can do it with my eyes closed. It's all about your creativity, how far you can take it, how long you can keep it going. And that's the most interesting part.
I like that. I like that. So, with your friends getting your books, you giving it to them, they not giving it back to you. They being real shady over there. What's up? Did you have a big falling out with one of your friends and say, hey, what's up? Where's my book? How did that go down?
No, not over a book. No poems. No poems. I used to be like, I did not tell you that I was writing you a poem for this guy. I was just letting you hear it. You out here giving my poems to people, and I'm very sensitive about my poems. But right. Books, no, I never fell out about books.
Okay. So you mentioned The Coldest Winter Ever. I think that's like the second book that I read when I started reading books. I think the main character was Santiago, and it was written by Sister Soldier. The book was all of that. I almost bought the sequel. I didn't buy it. So with The Coldest Winter Ever, with these books being so real, did you ever see, like, even when you was reading that book, like, you could see, like, the story inside of your head? You could see it physically inside of your head. Is that something that happens for you? I know it happened for me, but I'm not sure if it happened for the author herself, Donn Dutch.
Absolutely. It actually, I still read, like, when my books are delivered to me, I open them and I read them because books literally are movies. And the movie is never as good as the book because the book is the original concept of the author's thought and imagination. So after they've written all of that down and then they choose to go and put it on the screen, it doesn't give that same because it isn't the original piece from her heart, even though she tries her best to duplicate it and to put it in the screen for everybody to see, like, these characters play out. It never, ever, ever measures up to the first piece. So I love reading a book and just letting my mind play the movie because that's the best part of everything. Because you can, if it's a good writer, you can literally see it as you read it. And that was one of the things that people would say to me after they read my first novel. And they was like, man, like, I can literally see this stuff. Like, I can see you in this book. I can hear you in this book. And I was like, that's amazing because that's literally what we aim for as creators.
I like that. So The very first book I read was a book. I don't know if you know this author. Her name is Mary B. Morrison. She is
Mm-hmm.
dope. She's all of that. Her, I think the book was named. See, it's on the tip of my tongue, but that was the first book. Soulmates Dissipate. That's the first book I read, and I remember it was like a bathroom scene in the book. It was a love scene in the book. I couldn't believe I was, for lack of a better word, because I don't want to say it on the podcast, I was aroused by the book. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, this is a great book. Oh my goodness. That was my first introduction. Does that happen to people out there when they're reading like a sexual novel? Maybe Sister Soldier, Zane, somebody like that? Do they really get aroused by it when they're reading a book?
They do. It's so funny because did you read my book, Kenny?
I did a couple of years ago, though. It's been a while.
So that was one of the things that people would say. In my second novel, I tried to pull back from that, and I tried to kind of challenge myself to give more story and less sexual context. Because I remember I was getting a lot of males. A lot of males was giving me feedback, and they were like, yo, like, is this real? Like, do you? And I'm like, all right, now, like, you're not supposed to ask the author stuff like that. Just enjoy the story and just leave it, you know?
I like that. I like that. Yo, if you are just joining us, you are tuned in to the Pimp Game Podcast, and we are here with the one and only infamous, that's right, doing big things, author Donn Dutch. I like the name. I am feeling it hard on the Pimp Game Podcast. So let me ask you, I love your name, Donn Dutch. It's very catchy. It's dope. It got the 2 D's in it. I'm feeling it. I've been feeling it ever since I've been hearing it. But it's so dope for an author's name. It has that sizzle to it, and I really love it. How did you come up with the name Donn Dutch?
I didn't come up with it. My friends came up with it. And it was when I was like 16, maybe 16, 17, or 18 years old. Literally, this name has stuck to me since my adolescent years. And it was given to me just because everything was always high for me. Everything was always, what we about to do, but I'm still chilling, still having that attraction to me without having to do too much. Everything was always, like you said, sizzling, smoking hot. I was always real cool, real laid back. So that's how the name came about, Donn Dutch.
I like that. I like
smoking.
I like that. I like that.
So into fashion. So it was, I don't know, it was just given to me and it stuck.
So what's Donn Dutch's writing style? I don't know if there's a style that people have when they are writing books. I know they got it when they're writing songs and stuff of that nature. What's Donn Dutch's style? What's your approach when you're writing a book?
I like to be very transparent, but still true to who I am and still honest about how I feel about certain characteristics. So I would say, and I'm also very spiritual, like, although I can agree, and I have been in a lot of situations, especially growing up in an urban area, I still try to stay grounded with what I know to be true to my heart, and my religion. So I don't know. I think I'm really a well-rounded writer. Like, I feel like I can write about the spiritual, I can write about the sexual, I can write about the mental. I literally can write pretty much about all of it. And I don't necessarily say that I have a style. I just like to be very transparent. I like to be able to gravitate to my readers and not just let them gravitate to me. So if I have a friend who's in this certain mind state and I know that there's a lot of people dealing with this, I might tap into that and be very transparent about how I feel, not necessarily attacking her, but just being honest as well as gracious. So giving people that grace that they need for their situation, for that character, as well as how I honestly feel about it. Like, I remember in my first book, people were like, I can't believe that you had a white character in your book. They couldn't believe that I spoke on marriages and threesomes. So I try to be very transparent and very open with my writing.
I like that. I like that. I like that. So you mentioned you were spiritual. With you being spiritual and really tapping into that side of yourself, does it make it hard for you to write certain types of books? Maybe, I don't know, maybe if it's fiction, nonfiction, whatever. Does it make it hard for you to get into certain things when you're writing a book because you are spiritual?
No, God created all of these things. Everything that we experience, whether good or bad, He allowed it to come to pass. So I don't necessarily feel any type of way. I just try to always bring it full circle. Like, yeah, we go through things, but if we're getting out of it what God enables us to do, then there's nothing to feel bad about because it's always going to bring you back to Him.
Okay, okay, okay. I like that. So let me ask, because I've always wondered this. I know Stephen King got books, Sister Soldier, who else? Charlemagne, 50 Cent, Donn
Mhm.
Dutch, all of that. So what's up? How long does it take to write a book? For those viewers out there who never wrote a book before, like me, I never wrote a book. How long does it take to write a book?
It depends on your dedication. So my first novel, it took me maybe 10 months. Like I knocked
Mm.
that book out the park and it was so exciting for me because it was my first book. But with my second novel, it took me 4 years because it was coming behind something that everybody geared to be such an awesome piece of work. And not that it was a lot of self-doubt. I just didn't want to be rushed. I didn't want to feel like I was under pressure to deliver. And I wanted to make sure when I did deliver, I delivered on the same level as that first novel. So it really just depends. Not to say that I couldn't do it in less than 4 years. Obviously, life was lifing. And I had other things that I was really focused on, like my nonprofit and working, obviously, raising my children. So it was all of these things. And then I really just wanted to take my time because I felt like with my first book, it was more so I need to do this. I need to prove it to myself that I can do this. I'm in love with writing. I'm in love with reading. I belong in this lane. And once that was accomplished, it was like, okay. So I did it. And I'm happy that I did it. But when I do it again, I need to make sure that I do it with precision and make sure that I do it, learning from whatever went wrong that first time. So it really just depends on your dedication, if you're on a timeline, if you're outlining several series to one book, like it depends on a lot of different stuff. But I always try to advise writers, especially when they come to me and I know that they're inspiring to write a book. Just know not only who you're writing this for, but what message is going to go behind it. So as long as you have that in mind, and if you put yourself on a time frame, there's no doubt that you can accomplish it in 3 months. I know people who did it in 6 months. Like literally, you could just do whatever you want to do when you want to do it. There's nobody that can say, "Oh, I took 2 years and you got to take." No, there's people who don't work. There's people who don't have children to take up most of their time, and all they can do is just sit and write, and they knock books out back to back to back. Like, do you know how many books TDJs write? I'm like, dude, how do you have all of these books? Where do you find the time to preach and travel? Like, you just never know. Everybody's life is different. So
Okay, okay, okay. I like that. I like that. Joe, if y'all just joined us, you are tuned in to the Pimp Game Podcast, and we are here with the one and only author. That's right, Donn Dutch. I love it. She is here talking to us about her career as an author in the industry. So let me ask you this. You mentioned your kids. Out of your kids, I know you got a couple of girls. What's up with them? Do you see them, any of them, following the footsteps of Donn Dutch? You see any creativity out of them? Can they write a book like Donn Dutch? Could they write a
listen,
movie? Do they sing? What's up with the kids?
man,
What's up? Do you see anybody following your footsteps in terms
all
of
of
your kids?
them, all of them are dope. My daughters, especially, my son is a little more humble, kind of to himself, but I still know that he has a lot of potential and that when he's a lot like me. So I was not like my daughters. my daughters are 11 and 12 years old and already will get on the stage and show you everything that they have. I was not like that. Like I told you, I was a very popular loner. So for a long time, I took to myself and I read books and I read poetry. And granted, it did give me the substance that I needed to be who I am today. But them doing it at 11 and 12 years old is way surpassing. That is way past me. So they are amazing. I have an 11-year-old who sew. Not only do she sew and design clothes, she's also very, very flexible, kind of like, me, but, on a different level. Like this girl will just jump up in the air and do a backflip and land into a split and put her legs straight up on the, I'm like, okay, wait a minute there. Wait a minute there. So
Right.
she has a lot of different talents. She can draw, she can sketch. Like my daughter Zoe, we call her Zoe. I did not name her Zoe because she's her name is really Soleil, and she's been called Zoe since she was an infant, and it just happened to all work in her favor like that. But yeah, Zoe sews, and then Suki is a performer. She raps, and again, she's much faster than I, because even though I can get on the stage and recite poetry, it took me years. I don't think I recited my first poetry to the public until I was like 28. So her doing it at 12 and 11 and 10, she started at 10. So I'm like, these kids, man, they are Donn Dutch times 10, literally. If anybody's listening or looking and they want to follow my kids, it's at That Girl Suki. You can see her perform. You can see her personality just jump out of the screen. And Zoe is at Zoe Souls. You can see all of the good stuff. She's currently teaching a 30-year-old woman how to start. So she's teaching beginning classes and sewing. They are awesome. My kids are awesome.
Okay. I like that. I always like to ask about the kids. If somebody has them, to see what are they following in the footsteps of you. You know what I'm saying? I really like that. So you mentioned the kids. In terms of authors, I know you said you love reading. You read a whole bunch of books out there. Give me Donn Dutch's top 5 authors of all time in your mind. They could be alive, dead, whatever. Who is Donn Dutch's top 5 authors where you got to get their book and read their book? Your top
I'm
5.
gonna do you something better. I'm gonna grab them from my shelf so that they don't only know the author and the name of the title of the book, they also have a visual of what this book looks like. Because when I tell you, these are some good reads. These are some good reads. I'll be right back, okay?
I do that.
Okay, you ready?
Let's go. Let's get it. Your top 5 authors of all time. Let's get it.
Them, I could not find Sister Soldier 1 and 2 for the coldest winter ever. And I don't feel like digging in the crate that's in my den to get it. But the next one is Zane G-Spot. So that one, this is my number 1. Literally, it is a spiritual book, but it is so good to my soul. It is so good to me. And it's by Francine Rivers, and it is called Redeeming Love. Let me
Mm,
tell you something about this book.
I like that title. I like that title.
Let me tell you something about this book, man. This book is, in layman terms, it would be a prostitute. This
Mm,
book is about a prostitute, um, the most beautiful woman in town, and this rich fella. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but this rich fella comes in her world and shakes it up and give her redeeming love. And it is such a good story. Oh my God, it's such a good story. And it's biblical. So it's compared to characters in the Bible. I won't tell you too much, but it's so good. It's so good to me. It's so good to me. And then of course I am on that list because I am my own favorite author.
okay.
So Naked and Delusional, guys, go and get this book
I
by
like
Donn
that.
Dutch, yours truly. And here's another one, Dawn Day Nude by Donn Dutch, yours truly. Go and get this book. You will not be disappointed. Make sure you leave me a good old review. You can email me. You can follow me on Instagram at Donn Dutch. Let me know how you liked it because I love it. I love all of these books.
Okay, okay. I like that. I like that. Donn Dutch top 5 for authors in the game. So, in terms of writing books, I know you got your books on Amazon, you doing your thing. I like that. I'm feeling that. Any up and coming tours that we can expect for Donn Dutch? And what new book do you have going on right now you could tell us about right now in 2023 for Donn Dutch?
So let me tell you guys, I'm employed by Southwest Airlines. So I plan on taking a book tour very soon, me and maybe 4 other authors, where we will just pop up at different pop-up shops in different states, travel to different places to do signings for our books and things of that nature. And I also have a poetry book coming out. I don't want to give you the title just yet, just because everything have not been capitalized on and published. So I don't want nobody out there taking my name or whatever. But it's coming. It's coming within like 3 weeks, honestly. I'm in the final stages. I have a very, very dear friend of mine. I don't know if you know Dutch, but I've worked with him for several years now. I think I met you guys around the same time. But he has recently become my graphic designer, and he actually did this book cover for me. He did this book cover for me, and he's just been an amazing business partner, and he finalized my poetry book cover maybe a week ago. So I'm just waiting to get all of the contacts in order, the poetry in order, and then it'll be out on Amazon or Barnes and Noble as well, because I have books on both
I like
platforms.
that. I like that. Shout out to Dutch. I was checking out his graphic designs myself on
Mhm.
IG. He is dope. He is really dope.
Yeah,
He is all of that. He even got his own podcast. I like
yeah,
that. So
absolutely do.
let me ask you this. For any young girl out there, any young dude out there trying to get into the game in terms of being an author, what do they need to watch out for? Maybe look out for any pitfalls that they need to look out for if they want to get in the industry in terms of an author.
The main thing that I would say is know that it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to publish your books. You literally can do it for, I mean, depending on how professional you want it to look, but I don't want you guys to think that you have to go and find a $500 photographer and a $600 um contact creator or a graphic designer. Like, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to publish your book. Be very smart, network. Obviously you want to network up, but also network with your friends. So if you know your friend do some work and, just saying, hey, I'll give you recognition for this. That's what I did with my first book with a lot of different people. Just us being able to do a first big project together. We was like literally going hand in hand, helping each other to make it happen. Always work with people who want to see you succeed, and that you have that in their favor as well. You want to see them succeed. Just find your revenue, find your different avenues as well, and don't give up. And it's not, being an author is not like a get rich quick scheme. Like, you really have to have a love for writing. You have to have a love for that passion. Like, I have so many people who come to me, they like, can you please just write my book? And I'm like, sir, you have an awesome story, but you should probably get recognized for doing that yourself. Like, I think it's really important to tell your own story. No, I don't mind you paying me to tell your story, but it would be so more it would be more self-indulging to do it yourself. It will really mean a lot to you for you to just stick in there and dedicate and want to see a project actually manifest from your own two hands. So
I like that. So
you always
to,
saying I like that.
that's my thing. I love saying it. I don't know where I get it from, but I've been saying it. I've been feeling it. I don't know why I always say it. So let me ask you this, because today's topic of the show is the divorce between Eva Marcille and I think it's Sterling, her husband. Last name is Sterling or whatever. They got a divorce. They're from Atlanta Housewives or something like that. They got a divorce recently. What is your thoughts on that? And them and actually the dude actually adopting her daughter. I think her name is Mackenzie. And even though the child's father is in the little girl's life, the stepfather, quote unquote, went and adopted her. Now he's getting divorced to Eva Marcille. What is your thoughts on that?
Um, First of all, I don't think divorcing the woman means divorcing the child. So I don't really have much of an opinion on him adopting her because I don't know the relationship between the husband and the daughter. But as far as man and wife, like when you decide that you're calling it quits, I pray that they're able to walk in happiness and that they don't allow whatever happened to them to cause bitter and strife between them. And that, in some type of way, things still kind of be healthy for however they choose to deal with each other. Because I know obviously if he decided to adopt this child, then he love her, he have love for her. So I doubt very seriously that this is a situation where you can just be like, oh, I'm never going to see you again because there's a child involved. So a day at a time for them, and prayers to them in their situation, because life be life, and it's hard for us, especially when it comes to man and woman. It's hard for us to be on common ground and to respect each other or respect how we're changing in the moment. And it happens, it's life, but it doesn't have to mean that there's negative impact all the way around, like it might start off a little rocky, but eventually I'm hoping that it works in everybody's favor. They just be happy with each other or without, whatever.
Okay, cool. So let me ask you this for those people out there who want to work with you, maybe want you to write a book for them, maybe, I don't know, want you to write a play, whatever. How do they get in contact with Donn Dutch?
The easiest way is Instagram. Obviously, I have an email address that you can all reach out to me on. It's testimonialparty@gmail.com. But I would say the easiest way is Instagram. It's funny because I have people DMing me all the time and they're like, oh, I didn't think that you would write back. And I'm like, I'm not a celebrity. I'm just a writer. Like, why would I not write back? Why would I not write back? Of course I'll write back. So I have people, even if it's just to pick my brain a little bit because you're an aspiring writer, I have that happen all the time. Like, hey, how do you know how to do this? Or how do you know how to do that? And if it's not too much detail, I don't mind giving you insight on what I've done. Obviously, if you need to be coached through the entire project, then I want to be paid. But if
Oh,
it's
right,
just
right.
or if you just want to say hi, just DM me. Donn Dutch. I'm there.
Okay, all right. So, any final thoughts out there for your fans who've been rocking with you? Maybe the homegirls who were stealing your books, not giving it back to you. Any final thoughts out there for your fans before we sign off on Pimp Game?
Um, just that I appreciate everybody for their patience. Like I said, it took me 4 years to do a number of things, especially put out part 2 to part 1. And I know a lot of people was like, girl, you made that book stop too soon. Like, you didn't give us enough and we want more. And I was just taking my sweet little time. So I do appreciate everybody that was rocking with Donn Dutch from the first project. And I hope that you get the second project, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as you did the first. And I pray that you get my next poetry book. And I also have a pregnancy planner. So if there's any expecting moms out there or friends who have friends that's expecting, you can get that on Amazon. It's called Pregnant and Prosperous, because I do believe that bringing life into this world does not make you any less than who you are before you was with child. And I hope that you hold on to that and that you plan for the future. So get that book. It is Pregnant and Prosperous. But yeah, just thank you. And I hope that you continue to rock with me. If you haven't seen my YouTube episodes, it's called Naked and Delusional, just like my book, but it's Naked and Delusional, the poetic series. Watch it. So if you have anybody out there that end up watching it and you want to work together to do plays and shows, I'm your girl. You'll see, you'll love it. You'll like it. Like, for real, it's dope. So
I like that. I like that. I know you mentioned I say I like that, so I try to save it to the end. So it's cool. So what's up? Tell everybody who you chilling with.
hey y'all, it's your girl Donn Dutch, and I'm with Kenny D on the PIMP podcast. That's right, PIMP Game podcast all day long. Make sure you have me back on here too. Don't be no stranger. And like I said before, I apologize for the last time because I was supposed to be on here before, but I was just like really, really busy. Stuff was just going haywire with getting these projects together. So none of this done, and I have another one coming. Make sure you run this back. Bring me back on here, man.
All right, and that concludes our show for this evening. And before I let you go, make sure you tune in to our YouTube channel. That's right. You're going to go to iamkennyd and subscribe to the channel. And make sure you turn those notifications on, so when we upload videos, you are the first to get it. And also, we like to thank the infamous, the one and only, the lovely, the beautiful Donn Dutch. That's right, author in the DMV area doing her thing. We would like to thank her for blessing us with her presence. All right, see you next time on Pimp Game.
Pimp Game podcast.
All right, see you. You don't want to miss it. Holla.
Audio Jungle.